We're at the home of Molly Gerkin, one of Tulsa's finest interior designers, and Molly's going to share ideas with us today on how to make our homes more lovely. I'm Barbara Cohenauer. Join me for Focus on Art. Molly.
Hi, Barbara.
Welcome to Focus on Art.
Well, thank you, and welcome to my home.
We appreciate being here today, Molly, and it's always good to see you.
Thank you.
I'd like to begin maybe and sit down for just a second and talk about who you are and let our guests get a little bit acquainted with you, and then we're going to take a look at your lovely home.
Very good.
Now, I notice you brought Precious along today, or I guess Precious belongs here. I'm the guest. Let me rephrase that.
Yes, she is my little prima donna kitty. I've had her for several years, so she wanted to be in the pictures too. She's always wanted to be on film.
I see. Well, she's going to be a star today. And she's also kind of color coordinated for the setting here.
Right. My mother told me that I'm the only person she knows that has to have animals that coordinate with their interior. Being an interior designer can be a blessing and a curse sometimes. Everything has to match.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about how you got to be an interior designer.
As a junior in high school in Iowa, I decided that I wanted to be a creative person in a field, but I was not an artist per se. And so I determined that that was a very good applied art, and went to Oklahoma State, graduated from there, moved over here. I worked for another designer for several years before starting my own business about 11 years ago.
Well, Tulsa's just delighted to have you.
Well, thank you.
Well, I want to take a look at this room. It's wonderful.
Okay.
It's light and airy.
We'll put you down for a moment.
Okay. Tell us how you went about creating this wonderful feel in here, Molly.
Okay. Well, I like light rooms, and I find that my clients also really prefer to have a lot of light. I'm not one to do windows without some type of window treatment on them, however, so I wanted window treatments that reflected a very light and airy look. So I kept the wall color that was here. This is one of my favorite wall colors, Barbara, this kind of a cream color. It's very warm and inviting, and the white trim. Now, typically, this is a look that you should reserve two-tone colors for big rooms. This is not a very big room. However, with a small contrast like this has, you can get by with it in a small room. Okay. And it just has a very classy, elegant, a little bit dressier look. So that's why I chose that.
Okay, so you're saying in a small room like this, you wouldn't have used, say, a real deep gold with that white. That would have been too much, but as long as they're reasonably close together.
Right. However, if you want a dark look, then that's fine. But I wanted a very airy look. I wanted to bring the sunshine in, and I wanted the rooms to feel as big as they could.
Okay, and you've kind of done that with almost everything that you selected for this room. This is a wonderful piece you have over here. And is this an antique piece, Molly?
Yes, I have several pieces that came from my mother's antique shop in Iowa, some that I've collected from Arkansas, where they've now moved, and some from Tulsa. And this piece came from Arkansas.
And I noticed the things that you've placed within this bookcase are very light and kind of carry the same airy feeling. So would we be correct in assuming then that the accessories also have a lot to do with the look that you've achieved?
Very much so. What you want to do in decorating is to take an overall look that you want to achieve, and then the individual decisions, like the accessories, the books, the furniture, all fit that overall look. And my overall look would be kind of a country English Victorian look. That's really me. That's what I call it. Today people like the term eclectic, which is just kind of anything and everything, and that's a great look too, but my look is pretty traditional overall. I might mention over here that I think books are a very important part of decorating in even the areas where your guests are going to be, because they tell something about you. I've used a lot of decorating books and books on Victorian styles, books on England, travel books, things that I'm interested in, as well as my son's baby books. And then family pictures. I'm a real family person and I like having those. We used to believe that you should not have your family pictures out in the main areas of the house.
Right.
We've kind of relaxed that a little bit now, and it's just a look that I like. And I've combined all whites here, as you see in my picture frames.
All right. So we could almost look at this bookcase and know who Molly Gerkin
It
is.
tells a little bit about me, and this is kind of the entry. Now, when you don't have an actual entry in a house, you have to create one. So what I've done here is created an entry with this little piece, and putting a lamp on it, in a sense, separates it from the rest of the house and creates a small entry. And that's a way that you can create an entry if you don't have a physical entry with walls separating the room, is to create it through a piece of furniture.
All right, now if we leave the entry here, then we can move over into more the formal part of the living room.
Okay.
And you have chosen wonderful, soft chintz fabrics.
Yes.
Once again, does that relate to the size of the room? Is that helping us achieve the look that you wanted to achieve in here?
Yes. Now, the dark color, you would think that would not work as far as a small room. However, I'm a winter, and I'd like to mention a little bit about the seasons.
Okay.
I feel that people who are of certain seasons like certain colors to wear and to live around. And this is one of my colors.
Okay.
Now, I also like the lighter tones, the blues and the pinks and the greens, but this darker color is really me and my season. So I began with that fabric, and then I keyed off of that fabric, which is my main print in the room, and I brought in greens and pinks and blues to complement it.
Okay, well, it's a wonderful combination of colors. And then you go from the darker kind of, what do you call that color, burgundy?
It's a burgundy,
Okay,
right.
you go from the burgundy and then you pick it up here in a lighter tone.
Right.
And then you repeat this lighter tone as we kind of move across the table.
Right.
And the things you have over here, like the flowers and so forth. And then carry this color right on up.
Yes.
To your drapery treatment.
Yes.
Now, I said drapery treatment. That's probably not the correct term, Molly. What do we call this?
Well, that is the correct term.
Okay.
We call these now top treatments. They're very popular, and they come in all different styles. They can be custom made, they can be ready made. And as a matter of fact, many of the things that I've done in my own home, some of them have been custom fabricated, but some of them, like this, was from the Penny's catalog. And they have lovely things right out of the Penny's catalog that I'm very pleased with. And this house worked beautifully with just mini blinds and top treatments. That, again, contributes to the open, airy look.
All right. Now, if we kind of move along down here, we have another wonderful kind of small table. I like the proportion of this, particularly with that chair. And is this another one of the antiques from your mother's?
No, this is actually a new piece. And it's these little tables are fun too. They have the pull-out shelves. They're intended to be used to set a drink on, and they're kind of fun little tables. And it holds so much. You can put books in here and magazines on the back, and it's a multi-purpose table, which I'm very much into organization and multi-purpose rooms and furniture, especially in a small space like this.
Right. Well, now this piece does that for you too.
Yes. I'll show you what I've done here. It's a little secret. Inside is outfitted for everything that every family needs in their living room,
Absolutely.
right?
Okay.
Today, and this is the thing that interior designers always hate to see in the room is the TV. But I've hidden mine, and it's the way we live, so we have to live with that. I put shelving in this antique cabinet, and I have my VCR, tape player, and TV in here, and it works really well. I don't have a den, and so I have to have all of that in my living room, and so I like to have it hidden.
All right, well, a great solution. Now, our next room down here is your office, Molly, right?
Right.
And this room was originally a garage.
That's right. In this neighborhood, a lot of people have taken their single-car garages and turned them into a third bedroom. And when I bought this house, it was already done, which was wonderful for me, having the office right off the living room and not in a private area, since I do office in my home.
Okay, I understand how that would be very nice.
Yes.
Okay, well, what might start here with this wonderful thing.
Okay. I've had several people want to buy that for me, and it's one of my favorites. It reminds me of my summers in Minnesota, so I do love it. And I want to mention to you about the picture lights. That is one of my favorite things to do in a room. Lighting adds so much character and mood to a room. And just a little touch like this can make a difference in the overall ambiance that you create in a room. So I do enjoy picture lights, and they're not a big expense. There are a lot of little things that you can do. They're not expensive, but just add a nice touch.
Okay. Now, while we're over on this wall, it looks to me like you have painted paneling here.
Yes, when I moved here, it had the dark paneling, and since I do like that light, airy look, I did paint it, and that's very successful. Many people are going to paint and paneling these days, and wives, if their husbands will go along with it, because they usually like stained woodwork. And I just like the texture that it gives you. You can see the grooves. Another thing you can do with paneling, you can paper over paneling too. People ask me that, and you can paper over paneling. There is a technique to it to be done properly. The other thing that we do today is we glaze paneling, which is a liquid glazing that goes over the paneling and is almost like a whitewashed effect, and it's beautiful.
All right. Yes, I've seen that.
Or pickling, you've heard the term pickling.
Yes.
And that's also very effective if you want to keep your wood grain but lighten the wood. That's a very good technique.
All right. Well, now let's see. Before we leave this room, I think the only other thing we haven't really mentioned is this lovely armoire. Now, is this an antique piece, Molly?
Yes, this is. This is a country French piece, which is a little unusual for my home, but I like the curves that it has, and it adds a little bit of grace.
Oh, it's certainly lovely. Now, it's another one of your pieces that you're using for organization.
Right. I have a lot of my promotional materials in here that I use for my business, and it just houses an awfully lot and saves me space since I don't have a lot of closet space in this house. These antiques can really function well that way.
Great. And then the top, of course, you've really done a wonderful job up here. Is this something that you arranged, or do you use a professional flower arranger for things like this?
Flower arranging has become kind of one of my loves and a very therapeutic thing that I like to do. I'm more of an ideas person on my projects, not hands-on, but this is something I like to do hands-on, and I find that I can come into a home, and when we get down to the accessories, that I can do the icing on the cake touches with their flower arrangement, and I just enjoy doing it. It's kind of a hobby, so it's something I enjoy doing.
Great. Now, where next?
Let's go to the dining room.
Okay. Now, Molly, here in your dining room, you've created that wonderful summer look again.
One of my favorite things to do is to change my accessories with the seasons, and this is my summer look. And because I have fabrics that have both dark colors and light, I can do that. In the winter, I use burgundies and dark greens, and in the summer, I go to the pinks, light pinks and blues and greens. It gives you that airy feeling. And you feel that you might have a new look just for a season.
Okay, well, we might start over here with this wonderful break front. I noticed you've brought those light colors in up at the top.
Right.
Now, in wintertime, those would change out.
Yes, yes.
Okay, how about the things that you have in the break front? Do these change with the seasons?
Not too much. I put some of my favorite treasures in there, family pictures, and this is a little tea set right here, Barbara, that my grandmother gave me when I was a little girl. And just some of my favorite things that I like to keep in there year-round. Over here, now on the dining table, I do change this out. Also, I like to change my skirt out with the seasons. This is a white skirt, and in the wintertime, I use ecru.
All right. I can understand how that would give you a more wintry look.
Right, right.
All right, I notice you have your book out here. Should I sign my name in your book?
I'd like you to sign as my guest.
Okay.
I think it's fun when you have friends in to have a record of when they were here and what you did.
Okay, well, I bet you remember that I was here for Focus on Art.
I bet I will.
Okay, and then over here you're set up for entertaining once again.
Yes, and I've used silver. Now, silver and crystal are very good summer accessory materials to use. Also, terracotta, as you saw up on the cabinet. This white porcelain is also very good, and anything in the whites. Off-whites and tans are the more wintry tones, and the whites and clear things like mirror, crystal, silver, which is very shiny, are very good mediums to use for summer accessorizing. And I have just changed this out and set it up to serve you a little coffee. Will you join me?
I would certainly love to have a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Now, as you leave your dining room and head out towards the backyard, you have a new addition.
Yes.
And let's talk about that for just a minute as we head that way.
Yes, I've just built this wonderful new deck.
Oh, this is a great space, Molly. It's almost like making the house grow.
It is. My contractor told me that when people add decks, that they use them all the time. And I said, why do you think they're so popular? And he said, it's because it's like adding another room to your house. So you have a new room to play in.
Oh, wonderful. And have you been entertaining now that you've had the deck?
Yes, it's really changed my lifestyle. I find that I want to have people over more and to use this area as well as the yard. I've really been working on the yard too. And we have kids over, and it's just a really relaxed family place to entertain.
And is Jason really enjoying being out here?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, now as we were approaching from inside, I noticed that you even carried the same kind of color scheme
Yes.
through to out here, so that
Yes.
you really tied this to the inside of the house. And of course, the green grass helps.
Right, right. I like the blue and green, of course, are outside colors with the sky and the trees, and I do have those colors in. So that's a good observation. I tried to bring the inside out, and the white again. And the white railing, we painted that to give it almost that Victorian country look, and I've really been enjoying that.
Wonderful. Now this is a particularly unusual door that you have here. When I walked up, I thought it was French doors that opened out, but this door actually slides.
Yes, this is a French door slider, and I chose this because of limited space inside the house, which is a really good way to go. If you do not have a lot of room to actually open the door into the room you're coming out of to go outside, this is a great solution because you can just simply slide it back. It takes up no floor space. And I've been very, very pleased with it. And it comes with a screen and just has all the amenities you need.
Okay, well, it sounds to me like everything you've done in this house has to do with space, that
Right.
you've made the maximum use
Right.
of every square inch.
Right. This house has around 1,100 square feet and 3 bedrooms. And I had to really make a lot of use of the space in multi-purpose rooms and also organization within closets and, as you saw, even within pieces of furniture.
Is this something that your customers ask you to do as an interior designer? Are they really interested in conserving space?
I think today, the way that we live, not everyone has very large homes, and I think space is an important consideration. Another thing that's fun, I notice when we get into the decorating end of projects, many times it motivates people to reorganize and rethink how they're using their rooms, and so whether I help them with it or they do it, many times they're just motivated to reorganize.
Okay, well, let's go back in. We haven't been down in the bedroom area, and
Okay.
we'd like to see those rooms too, if you don't mind.
Very good.
Now, this is the more private wing of the house.
Right.
We may be a little tighter back here, but we'll try and show all of your wonderful decorating ideas.
Okay.
Okay, you want to start here with the powder room?
Yes, Barbara, I wanted to tell you about my chair rail in here. I added this chair rail to give a little bit of a decorative touch with the wallpaper above and the paint below.
All right, that's something you think of as kind of formal.
Yes,
but yet
somewhat.
it looks great in the bathroom.
If you add a little bit of informal touches to it, and you notice some of my little accessories are kind of whimsical around the house, someone told me once a little touch of whimsy is great in a home.
Okay, well, it certainly adds charm to your bathroom here.
Very good.
Now, we have another interesting window treatment there.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. Did you create that yourself?
No, that's another one of my treasures that I bought at a local department store, as a matter of fact. I'm a great hunter for things, and it is lace, and lace, of course, goes along with this look that I've done very well.
Well, it's just great. I can tell you maximize every little corner, and I think that's the difference between things that are really well designed and just putting a house together. Now, this is your bedroom.
Yes.
And you've tried to create that same multi-purpose room use here that we
That's
have
right.
throughout the house.
Yes, and of course it was necessitated by space. And this I call my sitting room, Barbara. And when I bought this home, I thought I cannot have a bedroom this small. But when I decided I could call it a sitting room, then it didn't seem like a detriment anymore. So I put a day bed in here that has a trundle underneath it, and you can expand it to make it a little larger if need be. But it's like a little couch. In the afternoons, I like to come in here and sit and read. So it's kind of a little library bedroom at the same time.
Great. And then you have the place in case your son has a nightmare.
Yes,
He can
yes.
come in.
He calls that his special bed. So every once in a while he gets to sleep on his special bed.
All right. Now, the watercolors over here are wonderful. Let's take just a minute and look at those. Is this a special collection?
Yes, it is. And most of these are very important to me in that they have been done by people that I know and mean something to me. My favorite flower is the purple iris, and I like to collect purple iris watercolors. Although these are not all iris, I'd like to expand on it. Unfortunately, I don't have the wall space at the time. But that is something that I enjoy doing, and that is an attractive way to do a gallery, is with paintings of like subjects.
All right, and we do have the one flower over here that's not an
Right.
iris, but the color ties it into the
That's
group.
it. That's it.
Okay, so that works very well. The interior designer, I suppose, is the best picture arranger of anyone in the world. Do you get asked to come and arrange pictures by your friends?
Yes, and I love, as you notice, accessorizing and picture hanging, because I call these things the icing on the cake. And a good room, if it doesn't have proper finishing touches, will really fall flat. So I like to come in, and if I get the opportunity to do it head to toe, down to hanging the pictures and doing the accessories. These are such important elements to the room.
As we're looking at this group of pictures, and I, will ask you this question, they work so well together, and one of my assumptions is that the reason they look so good together is that you've kept the space between the pictures at a rather small, manageable space.
Right.
If you had hung this picture, for example, 4 more inches over on that side, people would have said, that doesn't look so good, and it's managing this negative space between these that's
Right.
making this successful. So we might tell our viewers, if they want a hint when you're hanging a group of pictures, sometimes you need to look at what you're creating in here as well as the relationship between the two pictures.
Right. And Barbara, that is a hard thing to teach. When I used to teach design in the evenings, I would have my students come over when I did the segment on accessorizing, because you almost have to do this hands-on. And many people, this is where they lack confidence, is picture hanging. There are some do's and don'ts, but then also, like today, there's so many things that aren't right or wrong, they just are good design. But that is true. What you want to do basically is take the size of the grouping and scale it to the size of the wall. And by bringing them in closer, it makes them feel more important. Whereas if you space them out, they wouldn't relate to one another, and it gives you a cozier feel when you bring them in closer to each other, which is the feel of the room.
Okay, we've done a great job. So we have a wonderful collection of things here. We have the day bed over here, with, once again, wonderful prints mixed with the summer whites.
Yes.
See, I'm beginning to understand exactly what you did here.
Yes. This is my summer look again, and in the wintertime, since I have hardwood floors, which tend to be cold in this area, I use a rug right on the floor here, and I remove the print over on the shams, and I put white, so I have my print on the floor and my white there, so that's my winter look. Now this is my cool summer look. So I like to do like they did years ago when they'd have a winter and summer look. They'd even have winter and summer slip covers.
Right, I remember that.
Right, right.
Okay, well now you have a very important person in your life that lives down the hall.
Yes.
Okay, let's walk down the hall. This is probably the most fun room in the whole house.
Yes, this is the most colorful room of the house, kind of like the little boy who lives here.
Well, I certainly do like these bright colors, and the firemen are wonderful.
Well, they say that the bright colors are what little kids like. We used to do nurseries in pastels and sweet colors, but psychologists or whoever say that kids really respond to bright colors. And another thing that's kind of fun, when you paper a whole room like this, from the mother's angle, you don't have to redecorate very often, and you don't have to continue to put things on the walls. Plus, it doesn't show much when they get those magic markers and things on the walls.
Okay, we won't ask you if there are any magic marker spots here. Okay. Now, it looks to me like Justin likes being in his room. Is that a planned thing?
Because of the space problem of not having a den or a playroom, I'm trying to kind of wean him from the living room so that I have that a little more and move him into this room. And in doing that, I've added this desk for him, and he's at the age now, being 3, where he can sit here and play by himself, and he has his little toys, his Legos and his marbles and his puzzles and books, and he really thinks that's big stuff. Then eventually I plan to put a little combination TV VCR right here so that he can play his little tapes and watch the tape and do his puzzles and play with his toys all right here, which will free up my living room from having things strewn all over when people come and my clients arrive and there are balls all over the living room. So this should really help our lifestyle here too.
Okay, great. Well, this is a wonderful room, and I can tell that Justin's going to enjoy being back here. And he's going to like it better, Mom, when you get that VCR.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Well, let's continue on here. We're just about to the end.
Barbara, one of the reasons that I bought this house was the kitchen. For the size of the house, this is a rather large kitchen.
Oh, and it's a wonderful space, and you've done great things with it. Once again, we're back to that fanciful idea.
Yes, yes.
Now, is Beatrice Potter one of your favorites, obviously?
I thought I'd do a nursery one day in Beatrix Potter, but I had these dishes that came from England. My parents bought me a set, and then I bought a set to complete it for breakfast dishes. And they came out with this wallpaper that is Peter Rabbit wallpaper. And I love rabbits. My friends help me with that collection every year. So I have incorporated all of that into my kitchen, and this is my Beatrix Potter room.
Well, and I bet that you and Justin have a great time having dinner in here every night.
Well, it saves my dining room. I don't get peanut butter and jelly on the dining room table so much.
Okay.
And this size is perfect for him. He has his chair and his placemat and his space. Now, originally, I didn't think there would be room in this kitchen without enclosing it too much to put a table. But this narrow sofa table actually is basically what it is, functions very well just for breakfast and snacks.
And it looks like it's one that you can really get the peanut butter and jelly off rather quickly.
Yes, it's very serviceable. Very serviceable.
Okay, what a wonderful intimate space. I bet you guys have a great time at dinner.
Yes, and then we have, of course, we have a little TV in here that we have to have our TV in the space over there, and so that when I work in here, I can do that. You know, again, a multi-purpose room, and it functions really well, and it's a fun room to be in. We use almost every room kind of like a playroom space as well as what it's intended to be, since we do have limited space.
Okay, well, Molly, your house is wonderful. I'd like to take our last minute or so and look at some of the great things you've done outside.
Let's do that.
It looks like the interior designer's work is never done. The outside was for you to work on too.
Barbara, as you can see, I've tried to take the outdoors in, the indoors out, and to do the same look here that I did out on the deck.
Right. Is this a new railing, Molly?
Yes. It used to be a wrought iron railing, and it was in about 6 inches on either side on these stairs. And by bringing it out like this, it increased the width of this patio tremendously. And then I put the new indoor-outdoor carpet on.
Looks great.
Added a new mailbox, a new light, just kind of updated and added the brass.
Over here, it looks like you just totally redid, actually, your little coach light here.
Yes, it was black with a black iron top, and I wanted, again, the brass, and I added the little house numbers to it to give it character. And then the planter box, as you see over here, is another item that I added.
Okay, I was going to ask if that was an original with the house. It looks like it's almost of the same vintage of the house.
Right, that's true. And the whole purpose of this is to give, again, we talked about the character inside the house, to give the same character outside.
Well, you've done a wonderful job, and Molly, you've taken advantage of every square inch. You've done, you know, just marvelous things with a small house, and we really appreciate you sharing that with our guests this evening.
Well, it's been a joy for me to have you here, Barbara, and I hope that they'll find that they might have learned a few things for their own home.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
For those of you at home, we appreciate your being with us. As always, we'll look forward to having you back again for Focus on Art.